This isn't just the story of a single nuclear reactor. What we're about to explore is a nation's epic 80-year quest. It's a multi-generational saga, really, one of defiance, of isolation, and an almost unbelievable singular focus, all of it aimed at achieving one single thing: absolute atomic sovereignty. At the very heart of this 80-year journey is a fundamental question, a strategic puzzle that has pretty much defined every single decision from the very beginning. How does a nation build a future when the resources it has aren't the resources the world values? And this really lays bare the sheer imbalance at the heart of India's dilemma. On one hand, it had only a tiny fraction of the world's uranium. That's the conventional fuel for nuclear power. But on the other, it was sitting on a quarter of the world's thorium, an element with just immense potential, but with no off-the-shelf technology to actually use it. This paradox, right here, shaped everything that was to come. So, solving a paradox like that? Well, it required a vision that looked decades into the future. It required a plan conceived by one man, Dr. Homi J. Bhabha, and it was a dream forged even before the world truly understood the power of the atom. The core philosophy was established incredibly early on. I mean, think about this. These words were written in 1944, a full year before Hiroshima. So from day one, the goal wasn't just about generating kilowatts of power, it was about self-reliance. It was a declaration that India would be the master of its own technological destiny. Bhabha's solution to the resource paradox was this: a breathtakingly ambitious three-stage program. Stage 1 would use its limited natural uranium to produce power and, critically, plutonium. Then, Stage 2, the breeder stage, would use that plutonium to convert India's vast thorium reserves into a new fissile fuel. And then finally, Stage 3 would run on that new thorium-based fuel, ensuring energy security for centuries. A truly incredible long game. Okay, so the plan was set in motion. But this grand vision, well, it was about to collide with the harsh wall of global geopolitics. A single event would plunge the entire program into decades of darkness. So, in 1974, India conducted what it called a peaceful nuclear explosion, with the codename Smiling Buddha. The world's reaction was swift, and it was punitive. This timeline shows you the result: a 24-year period of almost total technological isolation, a time that Indian scientists themselves refer to as the Dark Ages. And this blockade was much more than just a diplomatic cold shoulder. The newly formed Nuclear Suppliers Group was created for one reason: to deny India access to critical technology. We're talking about the very building blocks of the program: specialized steel, high-pressure pumps, advanced sensors, even reactor fuel. The world had effectively turned off the tap. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Instead of collapsing, the program turned inward, and the Narora Atomic Power Station, well, it became the symbol of this entire era. Unable to buy, India had to build. It was an absolute triumph of indigenous engineering, with Indian industry literally reverse engineering and fabricating every single component from scratch. You see, this long, difficult period of forced self-reliance did more than just keep the program alive. It forged a whole new level of capability and confidence. And that newfound strength, it would eventually culminate in an incredible act of open defiance. After nearly a quarter century of being completely isolated, in May of 1998, India conducted 5 more nuclear tests. This was a bold, strategic declaration to the entire world. It said, the years of sanctions hadn't broken the program, they had actually made it stronger and completely self-sufficient. And the most fascinating and kind of counterintuitive result of the even harsher sanctions that followed was that they pushed India to double down. Realizing it could never truly rely on the global uranium market, India accelerated the one program that would make it independent forever: Stage 2, the Fast Breeder Reactor. And this brings us to the most complex, the most dangerous, and really the most critical phase of this entire 80-year journey: the quest to master the breeder, what many consider the holy grail of Indian science. So what is a fast breeder reactor? Well, it's a machine that seems to defy logic. It's a nuclear reactor that generates more fissile material than it actually consumes. It literally breeds its own fuel by turning a non-fissile material like thorium into a powerful nuclear fuel. This is the alchemy that was always at the heart of Bhabha's plan. Now, the sheer engineering challenge here is immense.
Breeder reactors require a very special coolant, liquid sodium. And let me tell you, this is a terrifyingly volatile substance. It burns on contact with air, it explodes on contact with water. Mastering its use inside a reactor core is one of the most formidable technical hurdles in all of nuclear science.
For decades, Indian scientists and engineers wrestled with this immense challenge. And then, after 50 years of painstaking effort, came this date. That date, April 6, 2026, is the moment the Prototype Fast Breeder Reactor at Kalpakkam is projected to achieve criticality. When it does, the bridge to Stage 3 will finally be complete, and that 50-year quest to master breeder technology will be won. This monumental achievement unlocks a fundamental shift. India is no longer just following a plan that was laid out in the 1940s. It is now in a position to be the architect of its own thorium-powered future. And this table just perfectly encapsulates that 80-year journey. In every single era, an immense sacrifice, financial scarcity, technological isolation, diplomatic pressure, extreme engineering complexity was met with a corresponding landmark achievement. Every step forward was hard-earned. So why does this matter so much? Why go through all of this? Well, this chart says it all. With its limited uranium reserves, India's nuclear future was always measured in decades. But by successfully activating Stage 2 and unlocking its vast thorium reserves, that energy potential is now measured in centuries. And this success is already building into new policy. India is creating an entire energy ecosystem. You've got fleet mode construction to build 10 reactors at once, private partnerships for small modular reactors, and even plans to use nuclear heat to produce green hydrogen. It's a whole new ballgame. The achievement at Kalpakkam, therefore, it was more than just a scientific success. This quote captures it perfectly. It represents the very moment that India stopped being a mere consumer of global energy trends and became the architect of its own thorium-based future. So, the long game, the one envisioned 80 years ago on a piece of paper, has finally been won. And it leaves us with this question. With the path to the thorium era now officially open, what does a future powered by this abundant resource truly look like? Not just for India, but for the entire world.